Hello, it's Monday the 14th of February, and welcome to your 5-minute briefs from Seoul. I'm your host, Hee-Jin Koo. In our first briefing of the month, we take a look at growing concerns over South Korea's faster-than-expected pace of inflation, how the pandemic has affected consumers in terms of what they buy and where they shop, as well as how retailers are looking to branch out in terms of deliveries for the future, namely through robots and drones. Plus, we take a closer look at how South Korea is coping with the latest spike in COVID-19 infections. Let's begin our 5-minute roundup. South Korea's consumer prices grew more than 3% for the fourth month in January, largely on the back of soaring energy prices and disruptions in global supply chains. Statistics Korea reported last week that the nation's January consumer price index rose 3.6% from a year earlier. Prices grew 3.2% in October last year, posting an on-year gain of more than 3% for the first time in almost a decade. Inflation also outpaced the central bank's midterm target of 2% for the 10th straight month in January. Core inflation, excluding volatile farm and petroleum product prices, rose 3% on-year in January, marking the first time in a decade to hit 3%. Finance Minister Hong Nam-gi said the government will focus on high-demand agricultural goods and take appropriate countermeasures, including boosting supply. He added that stabilizing consumer prices and risk management will be a priority in the first quarter. The Bank of Korea further forecast on Friday that the nation will see greater on-year inflation for 2022, citing recent inflationary pressure that encompasses all sectors. The central bank noted that the gains are most evident among food service items, in other words, the cost of dining out or ordering in. In January, the prices of 34 out of 39 food service items jumped over 3% on year. The monthly price increase for such items stood at 1%, which is the highest since 1998. And such inflationary pressure is affecting how South Koreans buy their food and where they buy them, especially in terms of dining out or ordering in during the pandemic. Many are choosing brands and items that are regarded as more reasonable and healthy alternatives. According to a report by the Food and Beverage News, changing dietary trends have prompted an increase in spending on seasonings, ingredients, traditional fermented pastes or chang, as well as hassle-free, ready-to-eat meals and healthy alternatives. The report cited a recent study by Nielsen IQ that showed that while offline sales of health and dietary supplements slid 2.3% last year, their online sales jumped 33.4%. Products stamped with international food safety certifications such as HACCP and others that have been acknowledged as clean labels or purported to be free from artificial additives or preservatives are gaining favor among health-conscious customers. The Bank of Korea has projected that the recent surge in costs will likely continue this year due to additional inflationary pressure stemming from a rebound in demand and the underlying rise in prices of raw materials in conjunction with a downward rigidity. The pandemic and recent cost surge has also affected where consumers buy their goods. The combined market share of South Korea's convenience stores outgrew that of local supermarkets for the first time as more and more shoppers choose to avoid crowded outlets and shop for fresh produce and necessities closer to home amid a spike in daily infections triggered by the highly transmissible Omicron variant. According to data from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy last week, combined sales at the big three convenience store chains, GS25, CU, and 7-Eleven, came to 30.7% last year, immediately after that of three department stores, Lotte, Shinsegae, and Hyundai. The figure surpassed that of the country's largest supermarkets, E-Mart, Lotte Mart and Home Plus by 0.3 percentage point for the first time since the ministry began compiling related data. Convenience stores' on-year revenue surged by 6.8% last year, in contrast to that of major supermarkets, which dipped by 2.3% as neighborhood convenience stores moved quickly to cater to an ever-growing number of single-person households in the neighborhood, even offering delivery services to compete in the cutthroat retail sector. Such stores have introduced better-tasting, ready-to-eat and ready-to-cook meals, stocked up on more varied emergency medicine and daily necessities that shoppers in the immediate vicinity are more likely to look for as they leave for or return to their homes or offices. And to keep pace with such trends, retail giant Lotte Group recently acquired a 100% stake in the convenience store chain Ministop, taking control of some 2,600 branches. And retailers are not resting on their laurels. South Korean retailers are looking to the future as they explore the latest in mobility services technology by launching robots and drones to provide contact-free services that have become key during the pandemic. These include robots and automated delivery vehicles to high-rise apartments to ease human couriers' workload and even protect customer privacy. For instance, self-driving delivery robots can take charge of the higher floors of 20 to 30-story buildings, while delivery workers can cover the lower floors, cutting down time by as much as 30%. Convenience store chain 7-Eleven is one such retailer expanding customer services in the use of robots and drones. It has deployed 3 self-driving robots at an apartment complex in Gangnam district in southern Seoul to deliver products to customers living within a 300-meter radius. Customers can place an order through a mobile app. The delivery bot drives at 7.2 kilometers per hour and can carry up to 25 kilograms of goods. Meanwhile, South Korea will allocate a record-high 9 trillion won or $7.5 billion to facilitate a smoother digital transition as part of the country's Digital New Deal plan, according to the Ministry of Science and ICT. And speaking of the rampant spread of the Omicron variant, the South Korean government will supply COVID-19 self-testing kits for 30 million people through pharmacies and convenience stores nationwide for the next 2 weeks to monitor and to dissuade hoarders and to cap surging prices as the daily infection tally hit yet another record on Sunday. The Ministry of Food and Drug Safety announced that the antigen test kits will be available for buyers at pharmacies and convenience stores for 2 weeks starting Monday. During the cited period, additional kits for 24 million people will be distributed at state-run testing facilities and to low-income groups. Online sales of the kits are now banned for 3 weeks starting Sunday. People will be allowed to buy up to 5 units per purchase during this period. The Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency reported 56,431 new infections on Sunday, up by some 1,500 from the previous day, bringing the nation's total caseload to 1,350,630. And with the tally hitting new heights for most of last week and topping 50,000 for a 4th day, the number of patients receiving at-home treatment also rose to an all-time high of 214,869. The government has pledged to supply testing kits for 190 million people next month. Meanwhile, the number of critically ill patients rose by 13 from the previous day to 288, remaining in the 200s for the 16th consecutive day. That wraps it up for this episode of 5-Minute Briefs from Seoul. This has been Heejin Koo for KBSI. Have a good day.